Hello friends, and today we shall be dealing with the categorical data and how to deal with categorical data. So open your Jupyter notebook and make a Python 3 file, new Python 3 file, or you can work on the Penguin dataset which we have explored earlier. The link I'll be providing, and we have explored this dataset, done data visualization, and the task was to predict the penguin into its respective species, whether it is Adelie or Gen 2 or it is chin straight. So these were the three species which we explored on the seaborn dataset, and I'll give you a little brief of this dataset. So let's just start exploring this thing. So what I do is I will import the basic libraries. So just do this with me. So import pandas as PD. The more you write, the more you practice, the more permanent you become, and there's a lot of improvement, as and time goes on. So you import these three libraries. We'll be working with only three here. So pandas, numpy, and seaborn. And now we'll work with the dataset. So I will get the dataset from the seaborn itself. So I will take this, I'll make an object called penguins. And here I will tell seaborn to load the dataset. So I will write here load underscore the dataset. And the dataset is the penguins dataset, right? Previously we explored how to peep into all the datasets from the command get dataset. So this is there in the previous video. Make sure you see that, it is very informative. And that is like, now we have load the dataset, and in this object penguins, so this will contain all my dataset, and I want to see the first 5 entries of it. So now I just see the first 5 entries, and I also see the negative, or you can say the null values or not available values here in Python. So now let's explore a few more things, and for more information I will also tell you that penguin.tail, if you want to see the last 5 entries, by default this thing is like 5 entries it gives. So island, you've got 3 islands here, you've got 3 species here, and you've got sex here. So now let's explore the data type, because you have to deal with categorical data. So let's come down to the problem and let's explore the data types. So penguin.data types, d types we write here, and we find that we've got here 3 object data type, that is species, island, and sex. So now these object data types, the 3 object data types which we have, they have to be dealt with before you go for model building, or before you just use the algorithms for that. So you have to make them ready for the algorithm. That's why you have to convert them, right? And because algorithm can understand, what do they understand? Actually they only understand numbers and not text or strings. So I will write that they understand only numbers, and so these categories have to be dealt with numbers, right? This male and female have to be somehow converted into numbers. This species have to be converted into numbers. Island have to be converted into numbers. Now how do we do that? There are various ways. Now first of all, let us just deal with these null values if you want to. So what I do is I would simply convert this into a raw heading. So when this blue line comes here, this vertical bar that you can see, just press R on your keyboard and hit shift enter. This will be converted into a raw code, raw line, right? Now let us move on to, let's figure out the null values, right? So is null dot sum, and we find that there are null values. So there are less null values, so what we can do is we can simply drop them. So what I do is I will write here penguins dot drop na, and here let us drop this in place equals to true, and let's again call this penguins dot is null dot sum, so that it gives me the count of all the null values in my data set, and I see that there are no null values now. Now what I do next is I will convert, and there are various ways of converting this object data type, categorical data type, into numeric one. And I will show you 3 functions. Firstly, I will use the mapping function, which is in pandas. Then secondly, I will use here the label encoding, right? and thirdly I will use here one hot encoding, so that you get familiar with all the things which are there that you can use one hot encoding. And the explanation for this has been done previously, so I'll attach that link or the video at the end so that you can see. And there is another thing that I want to tell you here is that the advantages and disadvantages are also being discussed. So what I do is, now let me tell you how would I do is, I have got species, I have got island, and I have got this sex as object data type. So I've got sex, I have got species, and I have got this island, okay, as object data type. What I'll do is, for the sex I will use one hot encoding. So okay, I'll use one hot encoding for the sex column, right? Because, and I'll explain you how does it function. Label encoding I will use it for island, right? And we'll see what are the unique values in each. And in mapping function I'll use it for species. Okay, all right. So now let's come to how do we do it. Let's first start with the mapping function. Mapping function, simple, easy, and effective. So what I do is, in my data set, first of all let me tell you how many unique values do I have of species if you're doing it for the first time. So this is like penguin.species.unique. Unique will give me the count of unique values in my data set, and here I get it is Adelie, Chinstrap, and Gentoo. That means three unique values I have in this. Now let us explore. Now let us just map it. So in map I will frame another object called df, and in this df I will, what I do is I will use this penguins dot species. That means in the penguin data set, go in the column of species dot in there map, and now I will provide a dictionary format for these all. So I'll write here Adelie, and this Adelie will be mapped to like 0. Okay, it is your wish, whatever you want, but just remember what you have mapped, what object to what, right? So chin strip can be mapped to like 1, and Gentoo will be mapped to 2. Okay, you can write here 1, 2, 3 also as per your wish. Now what I do is I want to see my data, how it has been converted. So I'll just see df dot head or tail, whatever you want. So I just see that, and you can see that the Adelie has been converted into 0. But this is a separate data set, remember this thing. This is not still in my penguin data set. I will tell you how things roll out, right? Okay, now let's come to label encoding. The second way of using or converting your categorical data into your, what I say, numeric data. Okay, so now you have this penguins dot island, let's just say dot unique. What are the unique values of island? So you've got 3 unique islands, that is Togerson, Bisco, and Dream. So now I want to map these into 0, 1, 2 or 1, 2, 3 or whatever. Now I am using label encoding. What this label encoding does is I have to import it from sklearn. Actually this is an sklearn library. So I have to use from sklearn dot preprocessing import label encoder. Okay, label encoder. And here you have to be careful about the caps lock and numlock because Python is case sensitive. So I will use this label encoder here, and in an object called LE I will use this label encoder. Okay, label encoder, this will be stored in this. Now what I do is I will fit and transform this. So in df I will use this df island, and in df island what I will do is I will fit and transform. I'm fitting and transforming the same thing in just one line so that it makes task easy. So I'll do this fit underscore transform and transform what. So I'm using this penguins data set. Okay, and in that I want this island, Okay, column. Now let's just call this and see how does this look. Df island. Yeah, so this has been label encoded. Now you see here, this is 2, this is an array of 2, 0 and 1. So like 3 elements, 3 values are here, 2, 0 and 1. So now let's see how do you encode this. Label encoding encodes the, I would say, the values as per the order, the alphabetical order. This Togresen, since it was it was starting with T, so it was being encoded as 2, given three values we have. Suppose now if we had many values, it had been encoded according to its order, alphabetical order. Bisco has been like ordered as 0 because of its alphabetical order B and then D, so it has been encoded as 1, and Togresen has been encoded as 2, right? So this is following a alphabetical order. This is what label encoding is, and this is how it does it. Now I'm moving on to performing one hot encoding, and one hot encoding will be performed on the variable or the column sex, right? So let's just see how this one hot encoding works. In this, I will use the pandas feature of pd.get variables, get dummies, sorry. And this get dummies, what it will do is it will get the dummies. I'll show you what does this do, right? So just we'll write penguins, and you go to the column sex, and here what you do is df.head, okay? So you get the dummies of this sex column and show me the head of it. So now you can see that the entire sex column has been converted into 2, females and males, okay? Given the variables, it has 2 values, males and females. So the values, the unique values have been converted into respective columns. That is what dummies do. So I got one column of female and another for male. And now what happens here is that now by default it is very understood that if 0 is for female, that means it is a male, and if it is 1 for female, that means the another one is not male, right? So what can I do is only from one column I can understand who's a male and who's a female. So I can understand here that this would be male. I can understand that yes, this is female. I understand female. Here I can infer this is male. So I don't need one column here. This is just redundant, and that is why this get dummies, you get into a problem of dummy variable trap, and this has been dealt with in the theory video, so please watch it. So what I do is in a variable called se, or you can make any variable, store this, and what I do is I will write here pd.get dummies, and again the same thing I will write here penguins, and in that just the same variable. And what I'll do is I want to drop the first column as true. It takes the boolean values, and then we can see se.head. So you can see the first column has been dropped, and we only get the male here now, okay? So this also reduces the number of columns in our data set. Now since we have done with all the object values, now comes the time to perform the concatenation. So what I do is, watch this carefully, I will concat the above 3 categoricals, or 3 object. I will just write object data type into a single data frame, right? Into a single data frame that I'll be using. So let's just do that. So I'll do that in penguins dataset. Again, I will make that, and here I will write the function pd.concat, and in this pd.concat I will use what? I will use penguins. I will use the object se, this one. I want to concat this. I want to concatenate df, that is the species here, which we have converted. Species df here, this one, and this df island, okay? So let's just write this, but follow this thing very carefully, okay? Where is it? Okay. So now I will write here df island, and I will close this, and now I will write here access is equals to 1 for columns. And now let's see the magic. Oh great, we got an error. Now listen this thing very carefully. You cannot concatenate an object of type class numpy.array. Only series and data frame objects are valid. So you can concatenate only series and data frame together. You cannot concatenate array. And remember one thing, that while encoding, label encoding, this has been converted into an array. This is not a series. So here comes the problem of conversion of numpy array into series so that we can concatenate it. So how do we do that? So we fix a problem. Now we convert the array into series. Okay, numpy array especially into series. So let's just convert it. Okay, so what I write create an object called series. There I write pd dot. So with this series object in pandas, this function, I will be doing this. So df I will use here, since I'm using it for island, df island, convert this into series. And then what I'll do is I'll run this. Then I will print what? Print the pandas series. Okay, and then I will write here another this thing, that display another command. This shows display series, right? Okay, let's see. So this has been converted into pandas series. The numpy array been converted into pandas series so that we can use it for our manipulation and further inputting it into the algorithms. Now let us again perform this concatenation with pd.concat. And again I will be using it in a list form. So I will use here penguins, I'll use here df, I will use here series since I have converted it, and I will also use here se, that was for the column gender male female, and then I will use here access is equals to 1 because I want it for columns. And then what you do is you can just see how it has been concatenated. So I'm just seeing the alright last values. Let's see this tail head. Okay, but I can see here null values. See, I had dealt with these null values before, but again I am getting these null values. So let's just see how many null values are there. This is some malfunctioning. Is null dot sum. Okay, so I've got some like 10 values here. Please comment in the comment section, why am I getting these null values? Let us see how do you solve this issue. So what I do is right now I will just simply drop it. Okay, this is your homework. Find out why I am getting these null values. Dot drop any, and I will drop these again. I will drop these null values in places equals to true. All right, and then let's just check out these values. Top head. This is simply very easy to drop the values and go do with this, but this is not a good solution if you have large values, and if you drop it, the performance of the model will suffer. Now let us now what happens here is that you can see the redundant information, like you can see here this is island being you have to rename this column. Okay, so here this is island species, and you've got this text. So what we can do, we can just drop it. So this is an extra information, like we can just drop the columns which are not needed, unnecessary columns. So what I do is, how do I write it? I can simply write the my data frame and dot drop, and I'll put it in a form of a list, that this is what I want to drop the sex. I want to drop the another column of say island, and I'm not dropping the species column because these two are being named the same, and if I'll drop it, both would be gone. So for this I would use another method which is not for this video. So what I'll do is I will simply tell you how to drop these two values like sex and island, which is much easier as of now for this video because the length will increase otherwise. And now I will write here the in place equals to true. This is important to write, otherwise it will not be dropped. Okay, you try this without in place equals to true and see what happens, and you write this in place equals to true and see what happens. So experiment these things and make mistakes so that you will know what to do and what not to do. and right here df dot drop head, and you see that the columns, both these columns have been dropped. Okay. And another thing is that this this uh, this is how you deal with the categorical variables. And in the next video we will go ahead with model building, because since our data is ready, we can train this model and see how it predicts. So stay tuned for the third part, and go ahead and see these label encoding and how does it function, the theory video. It's very small. And also one more thing about cat boost, I wanted to tell you that that automatically deals with all the categorical variables, and you don't have to apply all these methods for that. So that has also been dealt in the theory part, so you can just see that. And this is the penguin dataset of Seaborn, which was being done before. I'll provide the link, 2-3 links, so that you can go ahead and brush up your knowledge. So thank you guys, thanks for watching.